It is Thursday, June 5th, and moments ago, President Trump responding to Elon Musk in the Oval Office, finally saying, we may not be so friendly anymore. Is that what's really happening here, though? We're going to explain. Also, Trump trolling the German chancellor to his face this morning. We'll show you that. And the media losing their minds over Trump's new travel ban last night. How quickly they fall back to their normal default talking points. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates.
All of the things that we're doing, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And, Elon's upset because we took the EV mandate, and, which was a lot of money for electric vehicles. And, they're having a hard time, the electric vehicles. And they want us to pay billions of dollars in subsidy. And, Elon knew this from the beginning. He knew it for a long time ago. That's been in there. That's been, I would say, JD, that hasn't changed. That's been right from the beginning. Mr. Secretary, that hasn't changed at all, right from the beginning. But I know that disturbed him.
President Trump, moments ago, meeting with the German chancellor and his cabinet in the Oval Office, inviting the press in for question time and addressing the ongoing criticism of his BBB, his big, beautiful bills, receiving from Elon Musk, which the whole thing I find rather odd. Elon criticizing the bill, adding to the deficit, but this is a budget reconciliation bill. You can't cut discretionary spending in a reconciliation bill, only mandatory spending. Elon knows this. It's why his DOGE cuts aren't included. It's why the White House is working with Congress on a separate rescissions package that will codify some of these DOGE cuts and other discretionary spending, eliminate the hundreds of billions that DOGE has found in pointless contracts and grants. Elon knows this. Trump knows Elon knows this. The whole thing's kind of odd, fishy. Trump saying Elon's just mad because the BBB eliminates his EV mandates or the tax credits that Tesla owners receive when buying a new car from Elon. Currently, if you buy a Tesla, or any EV really, you get a $7,500 tax credit immediately, substantially lowering the upfront cost to buy the vehicle. That $7,500 is paid for by you, the taxpayer. Trump's big, beautiful bill eliminates that, which I'd say is a good thing. Less federal spending, less of our tax dollars spent on things like this. Elon responding on X saying, whatever, keep the EV solar incentive cuts in the bill, even though no oil and gas subsidies are touched, very unfair, but ditch the mountain of disgusting pork in the bill. In the entire history of civilization, there has never been legislation that both big and beautiful. Everyone knows this. Either you get a big and ugly bill or a slim and beautiful bill. Slim and beautiful is the way to go. And look, politics, it's a compromise game. This bill, it does cut mandatory spending by $1.7 trillion over 10 years by eliminating entitlements for illegal aliens. No more Medicaid for undocumented immigrants. That ends immediately if this bill passes and Trump signs it into law. It also delivers funding to finish the border wall. It delivers no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for seniors. Yes, it has a specific provision that gives a special tax credit for seniors to off-write their Social Security income. That's a pretty darn good thing. Trump touting the bill this morning and saying Elon wore Trump's right about everything hat for months. Now he's upset because we're cutting his EV mandate. Here's the full clip. Roll the tape.
Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. I was surprised because you were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. You couldn't have nicer. Said the best things. He's worn the hat. Trump was right about everything. And I am right about the great, big, beautiful bill. We call it a great, big, beautiful bill because that's what it is. And again, biggest tax cuts in history, biggest economic development moves anywhere. We've never done anything like it. Business is spurred. And I don't know if you've seen the numbers, but the numbers came out. Even the CBO, which is run by Democrats, said that we're going to be doing, I'd like you to discuss it, the 2.8 trillion that CBO. This is a group of people that are Democrats. They're very hostile to us. They just came out with phenomenal numbers, what it does. You want to mention that, Scott?
Yes, sir. So what we've seen is we keep hearing from the CBO that there's going to be a large deficit from the bill, which we disagree with, but using the CBO scoring, they came out and scored the tariff revenue. We think it'll be the minimum of $2.8 trillion over the 10-year window, which actually puts the bill in surplus if you include the tariff revenue, which they won't do.
It gives you a tremendous surplus, but we're not allowed to use that. For some reason, they say scoring. Nobody knows what scoring means. Maybe a couple of people, but nobody. Somebody sits in the background. They say, well, we're not going to allow that. They're not allowing other things that we have that are tremendously profitable for our country. But if you saw the other day, CNBC, they came out with numbers, and the people on the show, very good people, I've watched them for a long time, they couldn't believe the numbers, how good they are. The numbers were incredible, and that was personal income and also very low inflation. We have very low inflation. We're down to 2% now, and maybe even lower than that. And when I took it over, it was a mess. Remember, we had the worst inflation probably in the history of our country. They say 48 years, but let's say I think it's worse than that. So we had the worst inflation in the history of our country under the Biden administration. Now we're down to a beautiful number, 2%. You'd actually like to keep it there. Better than zero is 2%. It's going down maybe to 1, and 1% is like perfect. That's perfect. You don't want to have zero for certain reasons that nobody is very interested to listen to. But we have almost perfect inflation. Grocery prices are down. Everything. Remember eggs? Eggs. We weren't going to buy another egg for the next 20 years. They were so expensive, right? Remember? You guys all hit me about eggs. Eggs have come down 400%. Everybody has eggs now. They're having eggs for breakfast again. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars, and it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have a gasoline, combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have we want to be able to sell everything. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, he became a little bit different, and I can understand that. But he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody, and he never had a problem until right after he left. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape. He said the most beautiful things about me. And he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
Mr. President, I just want to clarify, did he raise any of these concerns with you privately before he raised them publicly? And this is the guy you put in charge of cutting spending. Should people not take him seriously about spending now? Are you saying this is all sour grapes?
No, he worked hard, and he did a good job. And I'll be honest, I think he misses the place. I think he got out there, and all of a sudden he wasn't in this beautiful Oval Office, and he's got nice offices too. But there's something about this. When I was telling the chancellor, this is where it is. People come in here, even from Germany. They come in and they walk into the Oval Office, and it's just a special place. It's, World War I, it started and it ended here, and World War II, and so many other things. Everything big comes right from this beautiful space. It's now much more beautiful than it was 6 months ago. A lot of good things are happening in this room. And I'll tell you, he's not the first. People leave my administration and they love us. And then at some point they miss it so badly. And some of them embrace it and some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it. But we have it with others too. They leave and they wake up in the morning and the glamour's gone. The whole world is different and they become hostile. I don't know what it is. Someday you'll write a book about it and you'll let us know.
Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Do you think Elon's right? Should this bill not raise the deficit at all? To do that, by the way, the only way is to make substantial cuts to entitlements, cutting Social Security or Medicare from American citizens, not just illegal aliens, which Trump won't do, or Is Elon and Trump really on the same side here? Are they working together on this in some 4D dimensional chess way to try to kill this bill and rewrite it? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Meanwhile, during this same press gaggle, the president trolling the German chancellor to his face over World War II, the chancellor reminding Trump that tomorrow is June 6th, the anniversary of D-Day, the day when Americans won the war for Europe. Trump responding, D-Day, not a pleasant day for you, Chancellor. A very unpleasant day for Germany. This was great. Watch.
May I remind you that we are having June 6th tomorrow. This is D-Day anniversary, when the Americans once ended a war in Europe. And I think this is in your hand in specific, in ours.
That was not a pleasant day for you?
No, that was not a pleasant.
This was not a great
in
day.
the long run, Mr. President, this was the liberation of my country from Nazi dictatorship.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
and we know what we owe you. But this is the reason why I'm saying that America is again in a very strong position to do something on this war and ending this war. So let's talk about what we can do jointly, and we are ready to do what we can. And you know that we gave support to Ukraine.
In another story, President Trump last night banning entry into the United States from 12 separate countries, effective immediately. Nobody from Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen can enter this country. There's also 7 additional countries that he slapped with partial restrictions. President Trump releasing a pre-recorded video last night on this decision and why he's doing it now, saying he's done putting American citizens in danger. After seeing what happened in Boulder, Colorado last week, he's putting these bans in place effective immediately. Watch.
The recent terror attack in Boulder, Colorado has underscored the extreme dangers posed to our country by the entry of foreign nationals who are not properly vetted, as well as those who come here as temporary visitors and overstay their visas. We don't want them. In the 21st century, we've seen one terror attack after another carried out by foreign visa overstayers from dangerous places all over the world. And thanks to Biden's open door policies, today there are millions and millions of these illegals who should not be in our country. In my first term, my powerful travel restrictions were one of our most successful policies, and they were a key part of preventing major foreign terror attacks on American soil. We will not let what happened in Europe happen to America. That's why on my first day back in office, I directed the Secretary of State to perform a security review of high-risk regions and make recommendations for where restrictions should be imposed. Among the national security threats their analysis considered are the large-scale presence of terrorists, failure to cooperate on visa security, inability to verify travelers' identities, inadequate record-keeping of criminal histories, and persistently high rates of illegal visa overstays, and other things. Very simply, we cannot have open migration from any country where we cannot safely and reliably vet and screen those who seek to enter the United States. That is why today I am signing a new executive order placing travel restrictions on countries including Yemen, Somalia, Haiti, Libya, and numerous others. The strength of the restrictions we're applying depends on the severity of the threat posed. The list is subject to revision based on whether material improvements are made, and likewise new countries can be added as threats emerge around the world. But we will not allow people to enter our country who wish to do us harm, and nothing will stop us from keeping America safe. Thank you very much.
Meanwhile, after this announcement, we saw corporate media in meltdown mode, losing their heads, pulling out the usual Dem talking points that this is a racist, bigoted order. Why do they always fall back to skin color? It's ridiculous. Nobody cares about that. Nobody thinks about that except for these people. He's doing it because he believes there's a dangerous element in those places. MSNBC going around to LAX to interview Americans last night about this, clearly cherry-picking the negative responses. Roll the tape.
And it is more of the same from Mr. Trump. He says, we just don't want him. We don't want him here. It is so bigoted. It is fear-mongering. It is to say these people are different from us. Their skin color may be different from us. Their language is different from us. You know what? I rely upon my faith, which I think Mr. Trump shares with me. As a Christian, we welcome the stranger. That is a part of the tenets of my faith. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. This is fear-mongering. This is much of the same. It is a distraction from the horror that is this chaotic, corrupt administration.
It could be just a diversion tactic, the timing of this, and yet we all remember the outcry we saw from Americans after that first Trump travel ban. It matters to a lot of people in this country for many of the reasons you just outlined. Let's listen to some reaction, at least the initial reaction from some people at LAX yesterday after this ban was announced. Watch.
I think a lot of people are in need of asylum, of course, that are coming from those countries. Not all of them are bad people, but the reality is that, to be 100% safe, sometimes the best thing, at least in the short term, might be to, mandate a certain travel ban.
I like Trump and what he's doing, but I don't know the reasons for what he's doing this for.
I think as long as they're properly credentialed, they should be able to arrive.
Let me know your thoughts on this. Does what we saw in Boulder, Colorado last week justify this action? Even if it's only a small, let's say 0.1% of the people that have bad intentions, that could be enough. Let me know your thoughts. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.